This W220 owner alert probably rates right up there in the top 3, and it has to do with the water drain located right under this screen right here. If you neglect this, it could cost you thousands of dollars, as some people have reported. Now you need to take a look at this every couple of months, particularly if you leave the car outside in the rain. When I pull this cover off, the drain down there was totally plugged. You can't see it, but it was totally plugged with silt and dirt, which had filtered down in there. And during the heavy rain, this can fill up and overflow, and it's going to create some real problems. The other day, the owner was driving the car, and all of a sudden smoke started to roll out from under the dash, and immediately the blower motor stopped working. So it's time to open up the blower motor and take a look at it and the regulator. But I'm just going to warn you, if this happens, you find that drain plug, prepare for a little surprise here. Get a little drip pan like you see here and get some towels. Now I'm going to pull the cover off the blower motor. Look at that. That's the problem we're talking about. Now, in severe cases, this not only will ruin your blower motor, but it will move to the back and destroy the valuable computers that are located under the rear seat. So this is what can happen when you don't keep a simple water drain clear. Look at this. And you can see right away when you look up at the bottom of that blower motor why it stopped working, and the smoke probably came from overloading the regulator, and that's probably what burned. So this is a $300 to $500 fix if you do it yourself. If you take it into a dealer, it could be twice that. Well, if you're a Mercedes W220 owner or enthusiast and this doesn't scare you a little, then I don't know what will. You know, I'm from an aviation background, and we had a term called blood priority. And what that meant was something doesn't become a priority until blood is spilled. And that can be the case with driving cars, operating power equipment, flying airplanes. You know, we tend to get lackadaisical, we tend to get lazy, complacent, and we don't wake up until blood is spilled, all right? Well, I'm going to call this wallet priority, because suddenly when you have to spend a lot of money because you miss some simple little thing, then it becomes a very high priority, and that's the purpose of this alert. I'm hoping that you can avoid these type of problems as I take you through my list of the top 10 alerts. But look at this motor. You already got a sneak peek under the dash, but I've pulled it out and it won't spin. See that? It will not spin. In fact, I can't even, it gets over here and I can't even move it. So you can see why it probably started smoking from under the dash. I have a hunch that the regulator right here got a little hot trying to drive the motor, and that's where the smoke came in. It was a kind of a, electrical smoking smell. It wasn't a lot of big smoke like a fire, okay? So what I'm going to do is we're going to replace the motor, and we're going to replace the regulator. We're going to clean that up. We're going to have to dry things out. And then I'm going to make some revisions to that drain assembly. For one thing, I don't like what the engineers did, and I'll explain that later. And I'm also going to make a little special tool that I can clean it easily in the future. I'll give that to the owner and explain, okay, just go out and clean this every couple of months. You don't even have to take the screen off. But let's put some oil in this. I'm going to unplug it and we're going to power it with 12 volts. And let's see if this motor will even run anymore. I'm sure it was probably surprising to you how much this panel was holding water. It's probably a good thing because a lot of this water didn't get down into the floor. I am going to pull the rear seat and make sure there's no moisture back by those rear computers. Okay, here you can see the corrosion, amount of moisture that got into the bottom of this motor. It looked like most of it was settling on the bottom because this sits down here like that, and you can see why this particular area of the motor got rusty. And I'm looking inside here, it doesn't look too bad. So maybe if we free this up here with some penetrant, we can get this to run. See, right now it doesn't want to turn very good. See that? It's very stiff. So I'm just going to keep working it back and forth here. See if we can free that up. There it goes. Look at that. It didn't take much, but I don't know if I would trust this motor. You might get this working and it's going to fail again sometime in the future. But if this is your car, you might want to take a chance. Go ahead and put it back in and see how it runs. For now, we'll go ahead and unplug it right here. Now, when you're powering up a blower motor like this, you have to be kind of careful. Now you can't power it up like that. We're going to have to turn it upside down. Let's make sure it's spinning freely. And then I'm going to hold on to it while I do this. We put negative to brown wire. Look at that. Motor won't even run. So maybe it was the smoke from the motor that was being smelled in the car. Okay, enough on this. No more sense in wasting time. Certainly not going to test the regulator because of the amount of corrosion that's going to be replaced. We'll go ahead and put these back in the car. I'm not going to shoot a video on this. There's 2 or 3 other videos on eBay, lots of videos about changing these blower motors, but the main thing I want you to learn about in this video is how to inspect and stay on top of that drain and ways to modify it and clean it when you need to. I believe that poor engineering is the root of the problem here. Someone didn't think about this very much, but you have a drain in this box at the very, very bottom with a big hole that drains out onto the ground. The problem is that hole should have not been on the very, very bottom. They should have created a catch basin or a standoff and had the hole maybe an inch or 2 up from the bottom so any silt or dirt would collect and not plug the hole. So that's one thing. The other thing is, it's not the easiest thing to get to this to clean it. You can't see it. What I would recommend is keep an eye on this after a heavy rain. Look down in here and see if there's any water in there. It should drain out very quickly, very quickly. If you see water in there, then you know your drain's got to be clean. And you can pop this screen off and get down in there and clean it, but don't just get down in there and pull the junk out. You need to use compressed air and get down in that hole and really blow it out. So I'm going to snap the screen back on here, and I'm going to show you the little tool that you can make. Keep this cleaned out on a regular basis very easily in just a few seconds. But as an alternative to poor engineering here, what I would recommend you do if you live in a really rainy, wet climate and you keep the car outside, is that you come up this box here about 3 inches from where the drain is and drill a 1/2 inch hole. Now this is an emergency drain, okay? So if it gets filling up, it's going to come out that hole before it overflows and goes back into your car, into the heater blower motor. And that hole is just going to drain down and go onto the ground. Remember, it's not your primary drain, it's only your emergency backup drain. That's if you feel you want to do that because you have excessive problems with the factory drain plugging up. Here's a little cleaning tool that you can make on your own that you can clean this very quickly on a regular basis. Just take your standard 1/4 inch hard plastic tubing. I've put a little bit of a larger piece of tubing here at the top so I can blow in there easily. And this will just go right down in through this grate. Just get in the corner and you can feel the holes. You just shake it like that, clean out the junk, and then go ahead and hit it with compressed air. And that's going to really blow the hole out. There you have it. Now you have no reason not to keep your W220 drain clean, and now you know why this is so high on my priority list. Be sure and check out the playlist link below this video for more alerts for 220 owners. And by the way, I checked under the rear seat and there's no water or moisture back there, so I think this owner dodged a bullet. But if you do have wetness, you can use a box fan. This is the best way to dry these cars out. I'm just going to plug this box fan and let it run overnight with the carpet pulled back and an angle down there, and it'll really dry this area out. You can see here I've got the new motor all ready to go in. Sure looks a lot better than this motor here. And you'll notice I also have my kneeling creeper handy. This is not the easiest job in the world as far as access. It's not hard to get the motor in and out, but getting under that dash panel and getting all those screws out can really put the kink in the neck or the twist in the back. So I love using my kneeling creeper. So we're going to do this. The lesson here is this was an expensive mistake, but it could have been a lot worse. So a word to the wise, take care of your W220 drain.